So, full disclosure, we're going to be doing a lot of reading in this video, but the reason this is even being made is because earlier this week I was scrolling through the San Jose Sharks subreddit, as one does when they're bored and looking for topics to make videos about. And I stumbled upon this post talking about one of their newer forwards that they had just signed to a contract this offseason. Filip Zadina, former top-round pick in the Detroit organization, 23 years old, signed to a cheap $1.1 million deal for the end of this season. And it goes without saying, Filip Zadina is a name that has carried a lot of weight over the past few years. Top 6 guy in the 2018 draft, who was arguably supposed to be top 3, but the Montreal Canadiens didn't really want him because they wanted a center instead. Either way, Zadina was a highly touted name. He was in Detroit for a few years, was never able to break out, got bought out instead, or not bought out, but there was a mutual contract termination. He was placed on waivers for the purpose of terminating the deal. He became a free agent and he signed with the Sharks. Because this is a guy whom we've been anticipating for quite a while to become good, there's some potential here to create a great storyline. But all things considered, if you look at Zadina's numbers, the best season he has had in the NHL saw him put up 24 points and 10 goals in 74 games played. The year after, his point production declined significantly. So the post made on the Sharks subreddit goes out there and asks this: why is everyone so high on Zadina? I have seen post after post projecting Zadina on the top line, and have even seen some experts, quote-unquote, list Zadina on their top line when projecting the Sharks' forward lines. This is a reclamation project for a guy who has never scored more than 10 goals in a year and was signed for a 1-year near-league minimum deal. I don't get how that screams top-line forward. He might be given a shot to compete there, but him winning the spot or being penciled in? I don't see there being any way he is ahead of some of the other competition, like Hurdle or Couture, Eklund, Duclair, Hoffman, and Barabanov. He would probably be behind LeBanc, Borderlow, Granlund for top 6 minutes if something happened to the other guys. What am I missing? And the reason I wanted to make this video is because obviously that's a great question, right? And I feel like a lot of Red Wings fans would go out there and get a kick out of this conversation too, because when it comes to Filip Zadina, the situation in Detroit versus San Jose, they're much different. San Jose is in a much more definitive rebuilding state, quote-unquote. They just traded away the Norris winner in order to get some more assets they could probably flip at this year's deadline upcoming. They have more incentive to build towards the future. The Red Wings, while they're in a position to build towards the future, they're kind of already in that process, and you're seeing some guys that are being brought in to help the team be competitive today. The JT Compher's out there, you've got the Ben Sherratts, the Gostisbeheres, and of course, other younger guys like Berggren, Seider, Veleno, and Lucas Raymond. These guys are all good, these guys are all young, and they're going to hopefully bolster up the Red Wings' chances of making the playoffs sometime in the next year or so. The Red Wings have no real room for guys who are still reclamation projects and are still trying to quote-unquote figure it out. Especially for Zadina, whom, the contract termination process has to be a mutual thing. It's the team and the player who both have to agree on it. Zadina himself was interested in this option for his career. He did not want to continue trying to bolster that opportunity in Detroit. So, what does he do? He goes to San Jose, signs a cheap contract with a team that is admittedly not really in that same boat as Detroit. The Red Wings have a lot higher expectations for their team in the short and long term compared to San Jose. The Sharks are more focused on trying to get younger and trying to get worse so they could get better draft picks. And for Filip Zadina, if he's able to really get some chemistry with these younger guys, William Eklund's over there, you've got Thomas Borderlow, of course, in this most recent draft. The Sharks got Will Smith. Of course, Zadina is only signed for 1 year, but if you assume that he signs another deal after this that's a little bit longer, this could be a pretty good core of younger guys if everything works out. And so with this in mind, going back to the question, why is everyone so high on Zadina, let's go out there and read some of the comments on this post. The first comment by Cautiously Optimistic says, people are excited at the idea of a former top 10 pick turning it around with a change of scenery. Simple as that. This other comment says, I think reclamation project would be a bit of an exaggeration for Zadina. The guy is 23. To be honest, I think his top 6 projection just comes from how young he is and how high he was rated as a prospect. Maybe Detroit just wasn't a good fit for him. His actual spot in the lineup will be based on his performance in training camp though, not experts' projections. The reply to this says the guy is 23, drafted early in the first round by a team that is still rebuilding, and they let him walk. They had an up-close view and decided to move on. He is a reclamation project. Teams just don't walk away from players they spend high draft capital on unless it's not working out and they aren't delivering on their promise. And then the reply says the top comment is the one here. Nobody, sane anyway, actually expects Zadina to definitively all of a sudden be a top 6 winger, but we're all looking for storylines to be interested in a season where most people on here realize we're likely to be bottom 5 in the league. Better Zadina than a guy with the same stats at age 33 who was drafted in the 4th round. Even if the outcome is the same, there is some perceived upside. Going over to the other comments here, I mean, this one's a pretty funny one. He was a Ferrari being used like a Jeep in Detroit, and he kept breaking. In San Jose, he'll be used as a Ferrari and hopefully thrive. He's young enough to stay on the team in the future or get flipped for more assets. That's a really nice analogy. I don't want to necessarily agree with it, but I like the point they're trying to make. It's the old Steve Dangle Ferrari versus a Jeep thing, isn't it? You also had yourselves this post made on the R Red Wings subreddit. Sharks fan curious about Zadina. I watched a few highlights. It looks like he's got a good shot and can serve some time on the power play. And you got some Red Wings fans going out there pretty much talking about why Zadina didn't work out in Detroit. Here's a comment from Whack Attack. He is pretty good as a defensive forward, but Zadina's offense is a bit of a black hole. He has some creativity, but he has zero deception at all. Guys easily block his shots and read what he's doing. He has a good one-timer for sure, and like I said, he can make some good creative passing plays or in the neutral zone, but when the puck is on his stick in an offensive opportunity, he makes head-scratching plays or he gets his shot blocked. He just freezes, honestly. It's the confidence that he has lacked. I've full rooted for his success, but it was definitely time for a change of scenery. Good luck to Zadina. And throughout this entire time, it'd be foolish to go out there and discredit the idea of mental well-being, headspace, just kind of knowing your worth and being comfortable in the role you're given, because when Filip Zadina was with the Halifax Mooseheads in 2017-18, 44 goals, 57 assists, at the World Juniors that year, as an underage player, he was a goal-a-game guy. He was just firing pucks off like crazy, beating goaltenders, potting it into corners, going top cheese. He was all the rage in his draft season when it came to being a productive goal-scoring forward. It's why he had that elite ceiling. It's why he was ranked to go 3rd overall. But as we have seen, over the past few years, he's been more so used in a defensively responsible role, and that's not that bad. Like, sure, he improved his defensive game. He succeeded in what it was that he was taught. But the offense never blossomed, and you saw 8-goal seasons in 28 games played in 1920. 2020-2021, 6 goals, 49 games. 21-22, 10 goals, 74 games. So the goal scoring that we all came to expect was just not there. And if this Ferrari Jeep thing is the most accurate representation of that, then okay, you could say that Zadina just wasn't given the opportunities to be a top goal scorer. But heading over to San Jose, he'll hopefully be given that chance. If he's playing with a really good playmaker like William Eklund, for example, there's the deception on your line. Maybe Filip Zadina doesn't need to be deceptive with his shot when he's got William Eklund dangling the pants off of the opposition and confusing the heck out of where he's going to go. If Zadina is able to feed off of the skills of these other San Jose Sharks and maximize his offensive potential, which I kind of believe it's still there. I mean, it's tough to completely remove yourself from the goal-scoring talent you had in the past, although to be fair to Detroit, it has been a few years since Zadina has not shown that off. But at the end of the day, he is only 23. So there's a lot of time here for Zadina to still carve himself out in the NHL role. Maybe playing with Mike Hoffman will give him a few pointers. Maybe he'll learn what it's like to be a pinpoint-accurate sniper at the NHL level, how to properly place yourself when you don't have the puck, how to get into scoring areas and find yourself at the right place at the right time to utilize your offensive weapons, how to beat goaltenders better. Maybe Hoffman can teach him a thing or two about that. It's going to be an interesting season here for 23-24 San Jose. Obviously, they're not going to be great. I don't think anybody's expecting the Sharks to make the playoffs anytime soon, but if Filip Zadina can use this experimental year to hopefully finally break out of that 10-goal benchmark, let's say Zadina gets 20 goals. If he gets 20, I think everybody's happy, right? Even the Red Wings fans are probably going to be hopeful in seeing him actually have a good NHL career. So if you're a Wings or a Sharks fan, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Filip Zadina heading into 23-24? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.